Hey there everyone, welcome to another episode of HET. So this is part two of our installation of the stainless steel brake lines. So in our first video we got the stainless steel brake lines installed. That introduced a whole bunch of air into our braking system, which now needs to get bled out. So that's what this video is going to cover in part two, is the bleeding of our brake system. So now Subaru does things a little bit differently than how you would traditionally do a brake bleed. Again, traditionally you would start from the brake that's farthest away from the master cylinder, which on this car is right here, and then you would work your way to the closest brake to the master cylinder. But what Subaru does is they have you go to the passenger front brake first, then the driver rear, then the driver front, and then the passenger rear is last. So what would traditionally be first is to be bled is the last to be bled on this car. I'm not entirely sure why they have it this way. I think it has to do with how they route the brake lines and run it through the ABS system. But either way, that's not that important. So let's start getting into this brake bleeding procedure. So the first thing that you're going to do is unscrew your bleeder or your master cylinder reservoir. Take out the filter. Try not to get it too dirty. Alright, there she is. Alright, so you want to inspect this. This is a little bit dirty, so we'll clean it off a little bit. Otherwise, we'll just keep that in a safe place for now. Alright, and then it looks like since we've lost a fair amount of brake fluid, we'll want to top that off a little bit before we start the bleeding process. The objective here is to try to not spill. Oh man, we're doing so good. All right, perfect. That's right up kind of to our max full line. All right, now we'll go start the actual bleeding process. All right, so I'm here at the passenger front to start the bleeding process. So you can see here I have my plastic drain line connected to my plastic bottle here, and then just as a safety net I have a drain pan underneath that and a rag around my bleeder valve over here, which I have my 8mm wrench attached to in case we have any seepage from the bleeder valve while we're doing this. Goal here is to try to minimize as much brake fluid spillage as possible because it is a toxic and corrosive chemical. All right, so I'm going to have my partner pump the brake a few times. All right, should be good. Now just hold the brake pedal down. Now we're going to crack our bleeder valve open. And there we go. Some brake fluid's coming out. All right, then we're going to close the bleeder valve. All right, go ahead and pump the brakes again. All right, and then just hold. Oh, there we go. Here's a whole bunch of bubbles coming out. That's what we wanted to see. All right, so those bubbles are what we're looking for. So that's what we need to get out of our braking system, because that's going to cause potential brake failure. We don't want that. So you're going to do this pumping and bleeding times process, a few times, basically until you stop seeing bubbles coming out of your brake line. So I'm just going to show this for the passenger front. It's the same procedure for all the other sides, and then I'll wrap up with you guys when we're kind of done with that. All right, so you can see I got my setup here on the passenger rear brake, which is the last one in the system. So one interesting thing to note about the rear brakes as opposed to the front brakes is that instead of using a 8mm bleeder valve, they use a 10mm. So that's not going to stop us here. We're just going to grab our 10mm wrench and go on, but just something to keep in mind. Also, as you go through each set of brakes, you should see fewer and fewer bubbles. That's just kind of a sign that you're getting close to being done. And anyway, we'll go ahead and finish this one up. So pump those brakes. Few bubbles, but I think that just might be from some leakage in our drain line. All right, pump them up again. All right, try pumping up one more time. Yeah, I think we're good. I think those other bubbles are just from some of the leakage in our drain line. It's looking pretty clear and bubble free otherwise. All right, so that wraps up this video on how to bleed your brakes. After you do this and we put the wheels back on, it's a good idea to do kind of a test run, just like on a flat surface where there aren't any hazards, just to make sure that your brakes are working properly and that you don't have any failures that you wouldn't want out on the road. But with that, as always, I'll have links to all the products and stuff I used in the description. There is a really nice Motive power bleeder kit that you can use to not only test your brakes to kind of make sure that you don't have any leaks, but it also allows you to do this job by yourself and without a partner. But this is the way that most people are going to do it, so this is the way I showed you. Anyway, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. See you guys in the next video. Have fun with your guys' projects.